everyone! Welcome back to another whimsical Minecraft tutorial with me, Acorn Bandit. Today we're building a shop that looks like a shulker box. But it doesn't have to be a shop. If you've always wanted to live in a massive shulker box, turn it into your base. You can also just build it as a statue for that one spot in your world that's been missing a giant shulker. The best part about this design is you can customize it with 14 different color palettes, so choose your favorite color or whatever shulker box works best in your world. Once you've found your plot of land that can fit a 22 by 22 block box, remove all of the blocks in the center to make room for the floor. And then for the floor, you're going to do 2 rows of stripped oak logs on each side with an overlap. And what that means is when you get close to the side like this, instead of going all the way to the edge, switch directions and start again. Once you're done with that, do a square inside of this with stripped acacia wood. Now we're going to do the pattern, and you're going to do strips of stripped acacia wood every other block except for the part that lines up with the entrance. So starting in the corners, skip a block, place down your stripped acacia wood, skip a block, acacia wood, skip a block, acacia wood. Once you do that, it should give you a 2-block gap in the center that should line up to where you're going to have your entrance. Once you have these markers in, finish the line all the way across. From here, come back to the front and the side corner, and you're going to place stripped acacia logs facing up so you can see the rings every other block, starting from this corner. Do the same thing with the next one, starting on the second block. Repeat, going back to putting the stripped acacia log on the first block. And now that we're at the center, we're going to go back and fill in the blanks with acacia planks. Repeat the process on the other side, starting in the corner with your stripped acacia logs. And then filling in the rest with acacia planks. For the center of the floor, it's going to be the same design, just right next to each other, so it doesn't really matter which side you're going to start with. You're going to have a side doubled up, so just pick a spot and go alternating every other block like this, and then fill it in with planks. All right, and there's your floor. Next, we're going to work on the walls of the shop, which also is going to be the base that the shulker is going to be resting on. And for that, you're going to cover all of the wool blocks that you see here, except for these 2 extras in the front. Once you have the first level down, repeat the process for the second. For the next layer, we're going to do another ring of end stone, but it's going to be one block inside of the ring you just made. And for this one, you're going to carry it all the way across over the entrance. Now, add an entrance by placing down end stone brick walls, end stone brick stairs, and lanterns. Continue placing stairs around this level until you come back around to the front. Next, we're going to create another layer one block on the inside of the last layer we made. Almost forgot, finish off the entrance by adding 2 end stone brick slabs. For the next layer, we're going to repeat that process, but this time using end stone instead of end stone bricks. And on each corner, place 3 blocks of end stone bricks to make a V, a caret, an L. It just depends on which direction you're looking at it from. Make another layer of end stone on top of your last one. And surround it with end stone bricks, which should result on each side with a gap that looks like this. Finish off the corners with stairs. And then move on to the next layer. For this one, we're going to start with a ring of end stone. And then frog lights placed in the corners. And then 3 more on each side, spaced however you want, whatever makes sense. It's not going to be even, and that's okay. Fill in the space between the frog lights with end stone. And then a ring of end stone bricks around that. Finish this layer with a round of upside down end stone brick stairs. The frog lights are going to be for ambient light to keep mobs away and also to light up the bottom of the actual Shulker statue itself. I recommend covering them with either a layer of yellow carpets or birch trapdoors, whichever you prefer. You can also just leave them uncovered if you want. Next, we're going to start building the Shulker statue, and for that, you need to know what color you're building. Every Shulker statue has a primary color, a secondary color, and an accent color. And I'll place on the screen what those blocks are for each color now. Now, unfortunately, Minecraft doesn't have many blue blocks, and that means the cyan shulker and the light blue shulker are going to be the hardest ones to make. Reason being, out of the primary, secondary, and accent colors, for most of the palettes, there's only one gravity block, a concrete powder block. But for the cyan shulker and the light blue shulker, there are 2, which means in order to build these shulkers, you have to build it like a 3D printer from the bottom up, layer by layer. So I'm going to include the front, back, sides, and top view of both so you can do that. As for the rest of the video and this tutorial, I'm going to do the lime green shulker because it matches my hoodie. The colors for the lime shulker are lime concrete powder for the primary color, lime concrete for the secondary color, and moss for the accent color. To begin your shulker statue, fill in the hole in between the end stone with your secondary color. Next, take a temporary block. Scaffolding works great for this because you can tear it down later. And don't put it in the corner, put it in maybe 2 blocks in, and tower up 19 blocks. On the 20th block, place your secondary color. From here, you're going to create another platform that is 14 by 14 blocks. So if you placed your scaffolding block or your temporary block where I did, you're going to go 2 blocks this way, and then 14 blocks this direction, including this block. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Do the same thing for the last 3 sides until you come back to where you started. The outline of this platform should match the platform you made below if you need to check on the dimensions. Once that's in, fill in the center with your secondary color. At this point, you probably want to put down a couple temporary torches just to keep mobs from spawning. Once you're done, place frog lights in the corners of both the bottom platform and the top platform. Next, we're going to make the shulker head. For this, count 5 blocks in from the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5 blocks in from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tower up 7 blocks. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then place down an end stone. The shulker head is going to be 6 by 6. So from here, go left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn. Do the same thing. And then do another layer of end stone in the center until you have 4 blocks open. Fill these with frog lights. And then move on to the next layer, which is going to include some of the shulker's face. Check to make sure you're facing the front, which is this direction, and place 2 blocks of stripped birchwood on the front 2 corners. Fill in the rest with end stone. Then create the eyes with black concrete and white concrete, and fill in the rest with end stone. This next layer is going to be made completely out of stripped birchwood. Followed by a ring of end stone. Finally, we're going to create the top of the head, which is going to be the same as the first layer. So go around once with end stone. Again with end stone. Leaving 4 blocks in the middle for your frog lights. And now we can move on to the rest of the shulker. To make it easier to fill in the pattern for the shulker box later, we're going to start with the opening lining for both the top part and the bottom part of the box. Go to your corner and scaffold or temporary block up 4 blocks. On the 5th block, use your secondary color. Extend your secondary color out from the corner 4 more blocks. in both directions. And then repeat the same on all other corners. Remove the scaffolding and return to the front of your shulker box. Climb back up and tower up 3 more blocks using your secondary color. Go across 7 more blocks for a total of 8. And then drop down and fill in the last 2 blocks. Do the same thing on each side. You now have the outline for the bottom part of your shulker box. To make the outline for the top part, find your corner and scaffold up 4 blocks. Place down your secondary color and then extend it out on either side 3 more blocks for a total of 4. Repeat this process on each side. Once you have your corners in, remove your scaffolding like before, and then climb up to the corner of the second part of the box. Using your secondary color, pillar up 4 blocks, and then across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Filling it in on the other side. Continue on like this. It does look a little weird at this point, but hang in there. It's gonna look a lot better once we start getting the patterns in. Next, fill in the gap in between the 2 outlines we made with clear glass panes. Next, we're going to start working on the pattern. So take your accent block, come to the front corner, and place 2 blocks, breaking the one below. And from here, we're going to go up and down across the front in a zigzag pattern. So we're going to go up a block and over a block, down a block, back up again, continuing like that all the way across the front. You should eventually wind up here on this corner with your accent color on this corner here. Place another block here to continue the diagonal, and the same on the other side. From here, we're going to continue the pattern all the way around the shulker box. So we left off here on the corner, which means we're going up and over again, down, until you end on the other corner. Just like before, add 2 more blocks, one here and one here to continue the diagonal. And then move on to the back side, continuing your pattern by going down, then back up again. On this side, you should end on the 3rd block in the corner. Add your extra blocks here and here. It should already be there from the other side. Before moving on to the last side. Since we ended on the 3rd block, we're going to go down from here. 2 more blocks before continuing the pattern back up again. Come back over here to place your final block, and our pattern is in place. Now from here, take your secondary color again, and where the accent color comes down into a V, we're going to form an X. Center, corner, 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 like this. Go to your next V. For now, just skip over the corners, find the V and place your X's. Now this final side does have a final V going into the corner here, so do make an X here. What that does is sets us up for finishing the design on the corners we skipped over before. So place your secondary color here, come over to the other side, and where the V is, and if you notice there's a V going into the corner, and so create an X. It's just not going to be complete because it's wrapping over onto the other side. If you look at it from an angle, the X is still there. It's just wrapping around the corner. We're going to finish this side by placing one more secondary block here before moving on. Same idea. Our V is here, coming around the corner. We're going to place our X. And then finish this corner by adding another secondary block here and here. This side's easier because the 2 V's are fully on either side, not wrapping around the corner, so we're only going to place a secondary color here before moving on. And then the final side is mostly done. We're going to just place an extra secondary block here, and that's it. At this point, we have the main pattern in place for the bottom of the shulker, and now comes the easy part. We're going to take our primary color, which in this case is lime concrete powder, and fill in all the gaps inside the outline we created. By creating the outline first, we've allowed ourselves to be able to place the concrete powder without it falling. At this point, you should really see your shulker box design coming together. And from here, we're going to do the same thing, but to the upper portion of the box. Take your scaffolding and tower yourself up to the very top of the shulker box where we've created our second platform. Now the pattern is going to extend 1 block above the platform we created because really this platform is just a way to keep the gravity blocks, the concrete powder, from falling to the ground. So we're going to start by placing an accent block here on the corner, followed by another one, 1 block up and to the left. This pattern is going to continue going down this way and up this way, the same way we did down below. I would actually recommend bringing your scaffolding to about this level so you can go out this way until you can't build anymore and have something to walk across the front here. You can also kind of sink down a little bit and get this bottom portion here. Just like before, we're going to continue the pattern we did on the bottom of the box by going down 2, up 2, down 2, all the way across the top of the box. Once you run out of scaffolding, carefully get down, move to the other corner, and scaffold across until the two sides meet and you have something to walk on. Once you get to the other side, you should be ending on the second block from the top. Before moving on to the next side, now that we know what our pattern looks like, fill in the X's with your secondary color. Build your scaffolding for the next side. Next, continue your pattern around the corner, which means we're going back up on this side. Once you reach the end, you should be 3 blocks down in the corner. And before we move on to the other side, fill in our X's just like before. Just like we've seen before, this side ends in a V, which means we have half of an X here. We're going to finish this off by topping it with another accent color. And then 2 more blocks over here to finish the design, one of which being a secondary color and the next being an accent color. All right, move to the next side, create your scaffolding. Now for this side, we are going to continue the pattern, but instead of continuing it from here, we're going to continue it from this top corner. So from here, we're going to go down 2, and then back up again. When we get to the end, we're going to be on the second block from the top. And just like before, fill it in with your X's using your secondary color. We're now moving on to the final side, so one more time, create your scaffolding. And on this side, continue the diagonal around the corner. So we go down and then we go back up into that spot. Then we go back down and on just like before. Go back to the start, fill in your X's. Until it looks like this. Come back to the beginning of the side, add in one more accent block, and this side's done. Now, while we're up here, we might as well continue by working on the top. So scaffold up until you reach the roof. Double check you're facing the front so I can see the lanterns down there. And starting on this side, we're going to continue the pattern with the accent color going up from this corner block. So we're going to go up, 2, and then down 2 to meet here. And continue the pattern from there. Now we are also going to be placing frog lights. So instead of putting the accent color here, a frog light's going to go instead. And just to make sense of the pattern, come back over here and place the frog light here. Frog light in place, continue. Going up from this corner. Back down. Frog light goes here, which means we also have a little bit of a difference with the accent color. We're going to follow it from this corner, so up and then back down again. Frog light. Once again, resetting with this corner. And we've made it around to the beginning. Now for this side, half of our X's are already going to be in place. If I come here to where this V is, I already have 2 secondary colors in place. That means I just have to complete the X before moving on to the next. Same thing. We already have the 2 corners here, which means I complete the X by placing blocks there. Even though there's a frog light here instead of an accent color, the X is going to go around it. And for this corner, we already have 4 secondary blocks in place, which means we just have to fill in the center. Continue on like that. Placing your secondary blocks to finish your X's. Until you come back around to the first side. Now all that's left to do is fill in all the gaps with your primary color, which again, in my case, is lime concrete powder. Since we placed torches earlier, we are going to have to remove those to fill in the center. The frog lights will take over in making sure no mobs spawn on the top of the shulker. All right, and when you're done, it should look like this. Go ahead and put carpets down on top of your frog lights if you want it to blend in a little bit more with the rest of the design. And from here, we can go back down to the scaffolding we made before. Now, the last part of the design is going to follow the sides of the shulker box going vertically. So this is going to be a little different than what we've been doing before. Start on the front left corner of your structure, which means getting onto this scaffolding tower. Get your accent color out and place it right here on top of the corner. Now it's going to be a little tricky to work around your scaffolding, but it's already in place for you to reach all of these leftover spots. So starting in this corner, we're going to go in the same zigzag pattern going up this way and then back across, which means we go up, over, back over this way, and on until you have your diagonal structure meeting up with what you made on the top. Feel free to add more scaffolding if it helps you. Sometimes it can get a little tough to reach the edges here. You might fall off your scaffolding. Just add an extra one if you really need to. We're going to clean this up later. Now, these vertical sides are going to work a little differently than they have before. We're not going to be making X shapes with our secondary color. So instead, just follow what I do. We're going to fill in a couple blocks to continue the shape of it. But it's going to be more of like a complementary zigzag than it is going to be X's. Up like this until it meets with the top here. Go over to the next corner. Walk down your scaffolding until you can see the corner. Find the center and place your accent color there. Then go up to the left and then back over to the right in your zigzag. When you reach the top, it should connect with the top corner that you made before. Come back down to the bottom and follow the zigzag with your secondary color, starting in this corner. So up this way, and then back this direction. Back over here. And it should end by connecting with what we made earlier. Now that you get the idea, I'm going to remove the scaffolding so you can see what I'm doing better. And now we're moving on to the right side of the shulker. Starting here in the lower left-hand corner, we're going to place an accent block in the middle and then go up to the right and then back to the left. We're now starting to connect with the design we made on the first side. So you don't have to place a block here. Instead, we're going to continue the design going up this way. And then back again until it connects with the top. Fill in your accent color by continuing to the right from this corner. And then move on to the other side. Accent color in the corner. Until you have a pattern that looks like this. Fill in with your secondary color. And this side's pattern is now complete. Circling around to the back side of the shulker, we already have an accent color here in the corner, which means we're just going to continue diagonally to the right and then back to the left. Fill in with your secondary color. And then move to the other side. Start with your accent color in the middle. Go up and to the left before going back to the right. Secondary color starts in the corner here. Moving on to the last side, your accent color in the center. And then secondary color, like this. Last side. And there we are. Last step is fill in all of the gaps between your secondary color and your accent color with your primary color. Once all the gaps are filled in with your primary color, your shulker box should be complete. If you haven't already, I would fill in the top here with something, whether it's a trapdoor or carpet, something to just cover the frog lights and give more of a diffused ambient light at the base of the statue. At this point, if you're just making a shulker statue, you're done. If you're making this into a base, just add some doors and decorate the inside however you like. If you want to turn it into a shop, I'll show you a simple design here, but you can also just design anything you'd like. I like the way that birch looks next to endstone, so for the entrance here, I'll place 2 pressure plates to open the door automatically, and then birch doors on the inside. Hopefully you thought to light this area up, even though I didn't tell you to keep mobs from spawning. I'm just going to put some temporary torches down, and for the entrance, on either side of the door, I'm going to place chiseled sandstone and a waxed copper bulb. Turn it on with a lever or a button. For the design that's repeated in each corner of the shop, I came up with this spacey looking frog light and endstone looking design, which is made like this. Repeat on each side. For the space between the 4 corners, create a beam using stripped oak logs. And then add lanterns. add some stairs to decorate the entrance. And then if you'd like, add a little bit of flair by using waxed oxidized copper trapdoors. At this point, the shop is pretty much done except for the display in the center, which I created out of frog lights, perch stairs, and wax weathered copper grates. Add a little decoration. Signs to tell people what you're selling. Chest to put your stock in. And then a little more decoration with carpets. And with that, your shop is done. The nice thing about this design is there's plenty more room to add stuff on the sides, whether you want to add a little sitting area, more storage, if you want to turn it into a multi-item shop. There's plenty of room to expand. But I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Let me know in the comments what color you picked. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Minecraft tutorials. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.